Okay, so welcome to another deep dive. This one is really interesting because you guys sent us something pretty wild this time.
Yeah, this is a fun one.
Yeah, so we are going deep beneath the waves today into the Baltic Sea Anomaly.
Oh, yes.
Heard of it?
Many times.
Yeah, so this is, that strange underwater object discovered back in Total 11 that kind of set the internet on fire. And yeah, we've got your provided text here, and we are going to break this thing down, see what we can figure out.
Excellent.
So to set the scene, it was the summer of Total 11. We've got this team, the Ocean X team out there, led by Peter Lindbergh and Dennis Osberg.
Right.
And they're out in the Baltic Sea doing what they do, looking for shipwrecks and this and that with their fancy sonar equipment.
Right.
But I guess you could say they found something a bit more interesting than some old timbers and cannons, right?
They did. They found something rather peculiar.
Yeah.
As you say, they're scanning the seabed looking for, lost treasures and shipwrecks. And all of a sudden, this very, very large circular object just pops up on their sonar screen.
I bet they did a double take.
I would imagine it. So, yes, 60 meters across.
That's huge.
That's a big object,
that.
especially at the depth they found it in about 90 meters of water.
Right.
Yeah, it's a big thing just sitting there.
So size aside, what really made this thing an anomaly? I mean, aside from just being a giant circle.
Right. So the sonar images started to reveal more than just a round blob. It had features.
Ooh.
Yeah, they noticed what looked like a kind of raised section, almost a stepped area leading up to what appeared to be a dome-like structure on top of this circular object.
So it's a circle with stairs and a dome on it at the bottom of the Baltic Sea.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it's been interpreted, based on the imagery, and it certainly caught the attention of a lot of people.
I bet it did, and I can only imagine what happened when this news broke. The internet must have gone bonkers.
Pretty much, yeah. It spread like wildfire, and that's where the name comes from, the Baltic Sea Anomaly.
Yeah, that's got a nice ring to it.
Yes, it does, and with that name came a lot of speculation.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, a giant circle with stairs and a dome underwater. What else could it be but aliens, right?
Well, that was certainly one of the first and most popular theories.
Right, so let's get into this alien hypothesis. So what were people saying? What made them think this thing was ET's handiwork?
So the perfectly circular shape, I think, was the first thing that really kind of caught people's attention, because nature doesn't tend to produce such precise geometric shapes, particularly on that scale.
Right.
And then there were some reports from the Ocean X team themselves that really fueled the fire.
Ooh, like what?
Well, they claimed that when their boat was positioned directly over this object, their electronic equipment started to malfunction.
Like what kind of malfunctions?
Well, their compasses were spinning erratically. Other devices were just completely cutting out or giving strange readings.
Yeah.
It was like some kind of electromagnetic interference was happening.
Yeah, that sounds spooky. So that immediately makes you think aliens, right?
Yeah, for a lot of people, it fit that narrative of advanced technology messing with our puny human electronics.
Right. And I also remember reading something about old UFO sightings in the Baltic region. How did that play into all of this?
Well, that was another layer of intrigue that got added to the whole story, right? So if there's a history of unexplained aerial phenomena in that area, well, maybe this anomaly is connected somehow, right? Maybe it's evidence of an underwater alien base or a craft that went down at some point. It kind of fed into this idea that something strange has been going on in the Baltic for a long time.
Right. It's all connected. It's all part of the big conspiracy.
Yeah, you could see how people made those connections.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's move away from the little green men for a minute.
Sure.
There was also the theory that this could be some sort of ancient ruins. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so the ancient ruins hypothesis basically suggested that this wasn't an alien artifact, but actually a structure built by a long-lost civilization.
Yeah.
A civilization that maybe existed thousands of years ago when sea levels were lower.
So they built this thing when it was dry land, and then it got submerged as the waters rose?
Exactly. And the circular shape, again, played a big role here, because we know that ancient cultures around the world built circular structures, Stonehenge being a prime example.
Right. And the Baltic Sea, it's had a pretty dynamic history, right, in terms of geological change. Sea levels have gone up and down over the millennia.
Absolutely. It's been through a lot of transformation.
Okay.
So it's perfectly plausible that what is now the seabed was once dry land capable of supporting a civilization. And then over time, as the ice sheets melted and sea levels rose, this structure ended up underwater.
Right, right. It's like a
Well,
whole Atlantis situation.
exactly. And to add another layer to this whole thing, the source material also mentioned the Younger Dryas impact theory.
Right, that's that idea that a comet or something smacked into Earth around 12,000 years ago and caused all sorts of havoc, right?
Exactly. It's a controversial theory, but it suggests that this impact triggered a period of rapid climate change and potentially catastrophic flooding, which could have wiped out entire coastal civilizations. And if you subscribe to that theory, then the Baltic Sea Anomaly could be a remnant of one of those lost civilizations submerged by the floods.
Okay, so we've got aliens, we've got ancient ruins, it's all very exciting. But then, of course, the killjoys and the scientific community had to come in and rain on everyone's parade, right?
Well, they had to try and bring some reason to the table, right? So
Got it.
they started looking at the available data, the sonar images, the reports from the Ocean X team, and they were skeptical, to say the least.
So what did they do to investigate this thing? Did they go down there and take a closer look?
Well, the Ocean X team did conduct further dives. They took more pictures, they shot some video footage.
Sure.
They even claimed to have found these strange concrete-like formations and metallic objects. But their methods weren't always the most scientifically rigorous, so the mainstream scientific community wasn't entirely convinced.
Right, so what about the samples that were supposedly brought up from the site? Did they analyze those?
They did. Geologists got their hands on some rock samples, and when they analyzed them, they found that they were composed of pretty common minerals, granite, nice things that you typically find in that region of the Baltic Sea. Nothing out of the ordinary.
So no alien alloys, no evidence of ancient superconcrete.
Nope, nothing like that. And the geologists also pointed out that the circular shape of the anomaly could be explained by natural geological processes like glacial erosion. They said that glaciers moving across the seabed could carve out depressions, and over time, those depressions could become more circular.
Right, so the scientists are basically saying it's just a big old rock.
Pretty much. Yeah, they're saying it's a natural formation shaped by the forces of nature over thousands of years.
But that's not as fun as aliens or ancient civilizations, is it?
Well, no, not really. And I think that's where a lot of the conspiracy theories stem from, this desire for a more exciting explanation.
Right, because if it's just a rock, why all the secrecy? Why haven't governments released more information? Why hasn't there been a huge scientific expedition to study it in detail?
Exactly. Those are the questions that fuel the conspiracy theories. And, it's not just about the Baltic Sea anomaly. This happens all the time when we encounter something we don't understand. Our brains tend to fill in the gaps with more elaborate and often more exciting narratives.
Right, so it's more fun to believe in a cover-up than to accept that it's just a rock.
I guess so, yeah. It's more intriguing to think that there's something being hidden from us, some secret knowledge that's being suppressed.
Okay, so let's get into some of these conspiracy theories. So one of the big ones with any unexplained phenomenon is the government cover-up, right?
Oh yes, that's a classic. So in the case of the Baltic Sea anomaly, the theory goes that governments in the Baltic region, maybe even multiple governments, are aware of the true nature of the object, but they're keeping it a secret from the public.
And why would they do that?
Well, the reasons vary depending on who you ask. Some say it's to protect national security. Maybe they think it's some kind of advanced technology that they want to keep for themselves, or reverse engineer.
Right, like a sunken Nazi superweapon or something.
Exactly. Or maybe it's something even more exotic. Some evidence of alien technology that could completely disrupt the world order if it were to become public knowledge.
Right, so they're just trying to avoid mass panic and chaos.
That's the idea. Yeah, keep the sheeple in the dark.
And what kind of evidence do they have to support this cover-up theory?
Well, often it's just the lack of a clear official explanation that they point to. They say, if it were just a rock, the scientists would have definitively proven it by now. And the fact that there hasn't been a huge publicly funded research expedition to the site, well, they see that as suspicious too.
Right, they're saying that the silence is proof of a cover-up.
Exactly. And they also like to draw parallels to other alleged cover-ups, like the Philadelphia experiment.
Oh yeah, that's that whole thing about the Navy supposedly making a ship invisible during World War II.
Exactly. It's a very well-known conspiracy theory. And by linking the Baltic Sea anomaly to that, they're trying to establish a pattern of government secrecy and deception.
Right, so they're saying if they could cover up the Philadelphia experiment, they could cover up anything.
Pretty much, and it plays into this distrust of authority that's prevalent in a lot of conspiracy circles.
Okay, so we've got the government trying to hide the truth from us, but what is the truth? Is it aliens after all?
Well, that's where the ancient alien theory comes in.
Right, right. So this is tying into that whole idea that aliens visited Earth in the distant past and maybe even influenced human civilization.
Exactly. And the Baltic Sea Anomaly becomes evidence of that ancient alien presence.
So it's not a crashed UFO from modern times, it's something older,
Right.
something left behind by these ancient astronauts.
Exactly. Maybe it's a piece of their technology, a navigation beacon, a power source, or even a submerged base. Who knows?
Right, right. And this theory also ties into other mysterious ancient sites around the world, right?
Oh, absolutely. Places like the Pyramids of Giza or Stonehenge or the Nazca Lines, all of these things that we can't fully explain with our current understanding of ancient technology. So the ancient alien proponents say, well, maybe aliens helped build them.
Right, it's all connected. It's a global conspiracy spanning millennia.
Exactly. It's a grand narrative that ties together all of these unexplained phenomena into one big alternative history of the world.
So I got a lot of different interpretations here, some more grounded in reality than others, but the fact remains that the Baltic Sea Anomaly is still an enigma.
There's no definitive answer yet, despite the scientific analysis and the various conspiracy theories.
And I think the media has played a big role in keeping this mystery alive, hasn't it? They love a good sensational story.
Absolutely. I mean, headlines about aliens or ancient ruins or government cover-ups are much more attention-grabbing than headlines about granite and glacial erosion.
Right, so the more outlandish theories get more airtime, even if they're less likely to be true.
That's often the case, and it creates this feedback loop where the public becomes more fascinated by the mystery, and that fuels more speculation and more media attention.
So it's like a self-perpetuating cycle of intrigue.
Exactly. And it can be difficult to separate the facts from the fiction when you're bombarded with so much sensationalized information.
Right. So what's the way forward? How do we get to the bottom of this? How do we finally solve the mystery of the Baltic Sea Anomaly?
Well, more research is definitely needed, and not just by amateur enthusiasts or conspiracy theorists, but by serious scientists with the proper equipment and funding.
Right, so we need high-resolution sonar, we need underwater robots, we need to collect more samples and analyze them thoroughly.
Exactly. And we need to be open to all possibilities, but also skeptical of anything that isn't backed up by solid evidence.
Right, so we need to balance our sense of wonder with a healthy dose of scientific rigor.
Exactly. And we also need to be aware of the potential implications of what we might find. I mean, if it turns out that the Baltic Sea Anomaly is something truly extraordinary, something that challenges our understanding of history or technology or even our place in the universe, well, that can have a profound impact on society.
Absolutely, it could change everything.
It could, and we need to be prepared for that possibility.
So it's a delicate balance. We need to investigate, we need to seek answers, but we also need to be mindful of the potential consequences of what we might discover.
I think that's a good way to put it.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground here today. We've gone from aliens to ancient ruins to government cover-ups and back again. It's been quite a journey.
It has, and it shows just how much mystery and intrigue can surround a single object at the bottom of the sea.
Right. And it makes you wonder what other secrets are out there waiting to be discovered.
Indeed, that's the beauty of exploration, isn't it? There's always something new to learn, something new to uncover.
Absolutely. So, to our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the mysteries that surround us.
And who knows? Maybe one day we'll finally solve the puzzle of the Baltic Sea Anomaly.
Until then, thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time.